Okay, right now, I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a reject within your own race. You see, in my opinion, I feel like if you are a black man who is non stereotypical, your life is going to feel like a curse. It is easier to exist in this world as a black guy who fits into the stereotype. And I believe that's the case because within the black community, if you do not adhere to the prescriptive ideas of what it means to be a black person, you're going to be tortured everywhere you go. Because everywhere you go, black people are going to view you and see you as an outsider. You're going to be labeled as whitewashed or an Uncle T, if you catch my drift, or they're going to call you a raccoon, just simply due to the fact that you do not conform to their idea of what it means to be black. Like, I never understood that. How is a black person supposed to act? How is a black person supposed to be, talk? What is a black guy supposed to listen to? Like, growing up, I always felt opposite to what they told me black was. So in my mind, I never felt attached to my race, or I never felt attached enough to my race to make my entire personality and identity my skin color. So for the longest time, I've always viewed myself as a brain occupying a meat sack or inhabiting a meat sack or a vessel, pretty much. And that has caused me a lot of alienation because I would go over family members' houses and they will all just be dancing at a barbecue or listening to, hip hop songs or R&B songs. And I always felt secluded because I was never into that. I don't hate that culture, but when it came to like black culture or like hood culture or street culture, I never felt attached to it. I was always into alternative things. The music I listened to was alternative. The way I dressed was very alternative. My hobbies and interests were all different from what black people took to. So you can imagine all that did was just label me in their minds as a traitor, and that's so unfortunate, man, because, black people love to talk about how other races treat them badly and how everyone hates black people. We're so tortured by the world and we're victims, and they always fail to acknowledge how black people destroy other black people. And it's like when you do bring that up, they either brush past it quickly or they just invalidate your experience. Because in most black people's minds, racism or hatred or discrimination only matters when it's coming from a white person. And that's what black people have been indoctrinated to think. They think that black on black hatred or black on black bullying or black on black violence doesn't matter that much. It's like, that's why I don't talk to anyone IRL about this, because it's just going to be an endless argument and I'm tired of arguing. This video was not to preach self-hate. I'm not making this so you can, be on my side. I'm just trying to share my experience because I'm tired of black people being hypocrites. It's just, I don't know, it's backwards to me. It's so backwards. But yeah, man, my experience as a black outsider was just very brutal. Growing up, going to inner city schools, black kids would pick on me every single day. The black boys would physically assault me and call me names and just bully me every day. And it got to a point to where I had to defend myself so much that I was always getting sent to the principal's office because I was always getting into fights, and it was just so unfair that I had to go through that treatment. And when it came to black girls, they were very open and vocal about how they felt about me. And it was always negative. They always told me how ugly I was. They always told me that I was a lame. They told me I was a loser because I didn't wear Jordans. I didn't wear Nikes. I didn't care about Chief Keef or whatever rapper was popular during that time. You know what I mean? Like, it's so brutal because I was just trying to exist as a normal kid. And I was always lumped into, just some social war or like some identity war. And I didn't care about that stuff. Like, even growing up, I never cared about looking nice. I never cared about dressing like a hood kid. Like, all of the hood kids wore the same exact, like, they all dressed the same. Every hood kid wore Jordans, some type of polo t-shirt, or Aeropostale or Hollister, or they wore True Religion jeans, because, I went to school, like, I was in middle school in, like, the mid 2010s, or, like, early 2010s. So, like, that was the style back in the day, just Hollister, Aeropostale, all of those, like, name brand clothing, companies or whatever. And even till this day, I am a very minimalistic person. I have one pair of shoes. They're Converses. I don't care about anything. Like, I thrift my clothes. I don't care about wearing designer clothing, but not to drag it out. But yeah, that's what all the kids would tease me about, because I was just so different. And it just made my high school experience and my middle school experience a living nightmare. But it's funny because when I attended a predominantly white school or a predominantly Hispanic school, I never faced bullying. I never had to fight a white person. I never fought a Hispanic person. The most I could say was that I was still invisible. I was still a loser. But at least I was not getting picked on every single day. You know what I mean? But it's slightly different when it came to the Hispanic school, because when I went to a predominantly Hispanic school, I was more accepted. And it's weird like that. Like, growing up for me, I always had a love for Mexican people, or just Hispanic people in general, because from a young age, I was exposed to Mexican culture because my dad was dating a Mexican girl for a couple of years, and she would bring us around her family, and her family would embrace me, and they used to show me how they, cooked, and they showed me how their culture was. From a very young age, I was exposed to Mexican culture. And growing up, I always had a love for Mexican people because of that, because they always showed me love and they always respected me, and it was different, I felt more connected to them than I did to black people, And it's funny too, because even Mexican girls were nicer to me. I'll never forget when I was like 16, like, one of the because, it's no surprise, I'm still, like, single. I never had a girlfriend, but one of the only girls in my life who actually found me to be attractive was, like, this Hispanic girl when I was 16. And, I'm like a mental cell slash, like, I am sub 5, but I am still like a mental cell. But I never talked to her, right? I was just, I don't know, I was too in my own head at the time. I thought that no one could find me attractive, but supposedly I was told that this Hispanic girl called me cute or whatever, but I didn't believe whoever told me that anyway. But yeah, but that never happened with black girls. Black girls never told me I was attractive, and it's not just about women. It's not just about girls. I'm just saying like they didn't judge me, because I feel like other races and other cultures don't have the same standards as black people. Black people have the standard that if you're not some street person, you're just not cool at all. Whereas I know there are Mexican gangs, I know there are, like, hood white people as well, but it's not the same thing. I feel like black people place street culture at the forefront. They make that the main focal point of black culture. Like, you could disagree all you want, but that's really true. I swear to goodness that's true. Look up every black person who's rich in this world, in this society. Most of them are going to be rappers, or they're going to be some form of a stereotype. And you can't argue with that. Like, all you see is that in your community. Like, go to any black community, you will always see black people portraying the stereotype. And most likely, those people have a greater time within the black race. Like, they're always going to be more accepted. Like, white kids even want to, copy ghetto black people. You don't see black kids trying to copy Neil deGrasse Tyson or Basquiat. You see black kids and white kids trying to imitate NBA Youngboy or Chief Keef or King Von. Like, that's how it is. So I know there's some truth to what I'm saying, right? And I'm not the only black guy, or I'm not the only black person who has experienced what it's like to be an outsider. I have watched so many videos of black people experiencing the same exact things as me, and they also talked about it. And I watched, not watched, but I watched and I read like posts on forums about black people and their experiences as well. So yeah, it's a thing that no one likes to talk about. It's always going to be the elephant in the room. So it's best for you to just, I don't know, man, just seclude yourself. That's what I did. I started to just seclude myself from black people because it's like, I kid you not, man. Everywhere I go, it's the same treatment. I lived in a lot of states, man. I lived in a lot of fucking states. And every single time, it's like black people just notice. It's like black people can tell that I'm different. Or they can tell I'm an outsider. Because they just treat me so weird. Like, it's just so unfair, man. And I did have a couple of, like, black acquaintances in school. But they were always autistic or, like, neurodivergent. Which I liked because I realized that the autistic / neurodivergent black kids, they were all cool. They were all nerds just like me. They liked the same things I liked. And most of the time, they were picked on just like I was picked on as well, you know? So, yeah, so those were the only black kids who I took to. But all of the other black kids were so focused on fitting in and trying to gain the acceptance of total strangers. And that concept never made sense to me. I always thought it was trivial to seek validation from kids that you're not going to remember 10 years down the line. Like, no one's going to care that you came to school with the newest Jordans in 10 plus years. You know, I always thought that was meaningless. And I'm not saying that to sound like I'm above people or that I'm smarter than people. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's so trivial to seek acceptance from human beings. It really is to me. But school aside, even within my own family, I'm treated like a black outsider or an outsider in general. Like, I'll never forget when my older brother told me that I'm not like him. And he told me that me and him have nothing in common. One time he told me that he felt more close to our cousins, or he felt like our cousin was more of a brother to him than I was, you know? He also said that he felt like his friends were more of a brother to him than I was. And that was brutal for me. At the time, I cared so much. I was deeply affected by that because, I mean, I don't know how many of you out there have an older brother, but for me, for the longest time, I have always looked up to my older brother, but he always rejected me and he always hated me. So I never got that acceptance from my older brother that I craved, you know? And I know I'm kind of like contradicting myself because I was just talking about acceptance, but I feel like it is different to seek acceptance from family, you know, versus a stranger. So it's kind of different, but I still contradicted myself. I'll keep myself, you know, honest. I'll be honest. But anyway, but yeah, so yeah, my brother would treat me like an outsider. And even in like family conversations, every time we had a family conversation and I tried to voice my opinion about something, you could just tell no one respected what I had to say. And it really made me stop talking. And I would seclude myself from my family. And now that I have my own apartment, I do not contact my family at all. And I don't try to go to any family outing or cookout anymore because I always sit there by myself, just faking every interaction, you know, and they always treat me like Tyrion Lannister or something, you know, like they treat me like I'm adopted pretty much. So I just gave up. I gave up, man. I gave up. It's meaningless for me to try to do anything with my family at this point because they always are going to view me as someone who does not belong. But that's the struggle when you're black. And I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for many of you. You know, just because you guys may be non-black, it does not mean that you're still not a reject within your own community. So, you know, I can only speak from the perspective of a guy who happens to be black. So that's what I try to do right now. But I may make a part two. I don't know. But this was something I wanted to get off my chest. That's really about it. Take care.